It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. Confucius was a Chinese philosopher and politician, who is traditionally considered the paragon of Chinese sages. I hear, and I forget. I see, and I remember. I do, and I understand. Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. Real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. To know what you know, and what you do not know, that is true knowledge. The will to win, the desire to succeed, the urge to reach your full potential. These are the keys that will unlock the door to personal excellence. By 3 methods, we may learn wisdom: first, by reflection, which is noblest; second, by imitation, which is easiest; and third, by experience, which is the bitterest. Wherever you go, go with all your heart. Success depends upon previous preparation, and without such preparation, there is sure to be failure. When it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust the action steps. When anger rises, think of the consequences. It is easy to hate, and it is difficult to love. This is how the whole scheme of things works. All good things are difficult to achieve, and bad things are very easy to get. Silence is a true friend, who never betrays. Never give a sword to a man who can't dance. Better a diamond with a flaw than a pebble without. Humility is the solid foundation of all virtues. He who learns, but does not think, is lost. He who thinks, but does not learn, is in great danger. The cautious seldom err. Old age, believe me, is a good and pleasant thing. It is true, you are gently shouldered off the stage, but then you are given such a comfortable front stall as spectator. The strength of a nation derives from the integrity of the home. If you think in terms of a year, plant a seed; if in terms of 10 years, plant trees; if in terms of 100 years, teach the people. Heaven means to be one with God. What you do not want done to yourself, do not do to others. Only the wisest and stupidest of men never change. Never contract friendship with a man that is not better than thyself. We should feel sorrow, but not sink under its oppression. You cannot open a book without learning something. To be wronged is nothing, unless you continue to remember it. The expectations of life depend upon diligence. The mechanic that would perfect his work must first sharpen his tools. Do not impose on others what you yourself do not desire. Study the past, if you would divine the future. A gentleman would be ashamed, should his deeds not match his words. Without feelings of respect, what is there to distinguish men from beasts? If we don't know life, how can we know death? The object of the superior man is truth. They must often change, who would be constant in happiness or wisdom. The superior man thinks always of virtue, the common man thinks of comfort. Learning without thought is labor lost, thought without learning is perilous. To see the right, and not to do, it is cowardice. The more man meditates upon good thoughts, the better will be his world, and the world at large. An oppressive government is more to be feared than a tiger. I want you to be everything that's you, deep at the center of your being. To practice 5 things, under all circumstances constitutes perfect virtue. These 5 are: gravity, generosity of soul, sincerity, earnestness, and kindness. When you know a thing, to hold that you know it, and when you do not know a thing, to allow that you do not know it, this is knowledge. Death and life have their determined appointments, riches and honors depend upon heaven. If you look into your own heart and you find nothing wrong there, what is there to worry about? What is there to fear? The superior man is modest in his speech, but exceeds in his actions. To see and listen to the wicked is already the beginning of wickedness. The superior man acts before he speaks, and afterward speaks, according to his action. Wisdom, compassion, and courage are the 3 universally recognized, moral qualities of men. Virtuous people often revenge themselves, for the constraints, to which they submit by the boredom, which they inspire. It is more shameful, to distrust our friends, than to be deceived by them. To see what is right, and not to do, it is want of courage, or of principle. Virtue is not left to stand alone. He who practices it will have neighbors. He who speaks without modesty will find it difficult to make his words good. Ability will never catch up with the demand for it. To go beyond is as wrong as to fall short. A superior man is modest in his speech, but exceeds in his actions. The superior man understands what is right, the inferior man understands what will sell. Faced with what is right, to leave it undone, shows a lack of courage. The faults of a superior person are like the sun and moon. They have their faults, and everyone sees them, they change, and everyone looks up to them. There are 3 methods to gaining wisdom. The first is reflection, which is the highest. The second is limitation, which is the easiest. The third is experience, which is the bitterest. The superior man is distressed by the limitations of his ability. He is not distressed by the fact that men do not recognize the ability that he has. I will not be concerned at other men's not knowing me. I will be concerned at my own want of ability. Speak the truth, do not yield to anger, give, if thou art asked for little, by these 3 steps thou wilt go near the gods. The superior man makes the difficulty to be overcome his first interest, success only comes later. Look at the means which a man employs, consider his motives, observe his pleasures. A man simply cannot conceal himself. When you are laboring for others, let it be with the same zeal, as if it were for yourself. If some years were added to my life, I would give 50 to the study of the and then I might come to be without great faults. When we see persons of worth, we should think of equaling them. When we see persons of a contrary character, we should turn inwards, and examine ourselves. Go before the people, with your example, and be laborious in their affairs. To those, whose talents are above mediocrity, the highest subjects may be announced. To those, who are below mediocrity, the highest subjects may not be announced. He who acts with a constant view, to his own advantage, will be much murmured against. I am not one, who was born in the possession of knowledge, I am one, who is fond of antiquity, and earnest in seeking it there. The firm, the enduring, the simple, and the modest are near to virtue. The book salesman should be honored, because he brings to our attention, as a rule, the very books we need most, and neglect most.